This is 1.4 notes talking about reflections. You have your essential question. And then we have two reflections. The first in algebraic forms when the negative is in front. That means we are reflecting about the x-axis. So it means we reflect about means we flip over the x-axis. When the negative is right next to the x, that is about the y-axis. That means we flip over the y-axis. Okay? So we'll see a few examples of these. So we're going to graph the function, describe the translation from the original function. So that would be what's the shift. And then the last one is describe the reflection. So we actually have two things we're going to graph. We're going to graph this first function and then tell what we shifted, the translation. Then we're going to graph the reflection and say how we reflected. You'll see there's only two answers for how you reflected. It's either about x or about y. So zoom in here. So I have a linear function. I know that because it's just an x. There's no squareds, there's no absolute value bars, and it's not an exponent. So I'm going to shift. We can look at the shift right now. It's left 1 down 2. Just using arrows instead of words. Left 1 down 2. So left 1 down 2. So that's our key point. And then we just follow the slope, up 3 over 1. Get a couple points. And we have f of x. Then I'm going to reflect. So that would be about the x-axis. So basically you go from the x-axis, look how far above that point is. Now go that same distance below. How far above that one is. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Go that far below. This one's below 2, so I'm going to go above 2. And that's how you create the reflection. So just sketch that in the same way. And that is negative f of x. Okay, that reflection is about x-axis. Okay, because we told us that the negative in front, that tells us about the x-axis. Okay, so you can do that with any of our functions. So we'll do a quadratic function next. So this is a down 3 shift. So 1, 2, 3. It's a negative 2a value, so when I go right 1, I'm going to go down 2, following my 1a, 3a, 5a pattern. So it barely fits there. Okay, so that is g of x. The negative is in front again, so that means I reflect across the x-axis. So 1, 2, 3 below, 1, 2, 3 above. And this one's 5 below, 5 above, and then I know it's a mirror, so I don't really need to count that one. And you have the reflection, negative g of x. Okay, so that was about x-axis again. Once again, it's where the negative is. It's in front of the whole thing, in front of the g there in this case. That would be about the x-axis. Okay, next one. This is a, remember the absolute values are like parentheses, so this is a left 3 shift. 1, 2, 3. And we treat this kind of like slope, but make it a V, so it's going to go down with a slope of 1, negative 1 basically. Okay. Make sure it looks like a V, and we have that, and we could label that h of x. Notice how I'm labeling anything, because we're going to have two graphs on the same one. Now we need to reflect across the x-axis again, because the negative is in front. Anything on the x-axis stays. So basically you can think of it as 0 up below, so it's 0 above. Think about that same way. And then we just count 2, 1, 1, 2. And you should notice it's just a reflection, just like the last ones. Okay, so our reflection is once again about the x-axis. And we get to the last one, which is exponential. So this is a right 3 up 1. Be really careful. We shift from 0, 1. Don't forget that. Right 3 up 1. Okay. And then we also have the asymptote, which shifted up 1. So instead of at 0, it's at positive 1. And then we can plug in a couple points. So I'm going to plug in. So I go to the key point and go to the x value just to the right. So that'd be 4, and then the next one over is 5. So if I plug in 4, I get 2 to the first plus 1. If I plug in 5, I get 2 squared plus 1. So always, when you're making a point, remember, go from the origin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it should be peaking on the right and flat, but never crossing the asymptote on the left. There we go. So that is j of x. Now we have to reflect that. We do actually reflect the asymptote as well. So it was 1 above, now it's 1 below. Now I do the same thing to the 2 points. So 2 above right there, so it's going to be 2 below. 3 above, 3 below. This one is 5 above, so it's going to be 5 below. And following the same pattern, but now it's peaking down, I guess. Going down instead of up, because it's a reflection. Negative j of x. And we reflected about the x-axis again. Okay? So now we're going to do the same thing, new functions. Notice this is also practicing graphing, so don't forget to pause and practice every once in a while, including the graphing you've already done, because practice, practice, practice this graphing. A lot of people have trouble with it. So it's inside the parentheses, so that is a right 5 shift. This is a linear function. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we follow slope, down 1 over 2. Can't get another point, so we can go opposite. Okay, so that would be f of x. Now we're going to notice it's inside, right next to the x, so we're going to reflect across the y-axis. So from the y-axis, count 3 right, so we're going to go 3 left. This one is 5 right, so 5 left. And this last one is 7 right, so 7 left. Let me draw that. And that's our reflection. Oops. Make sure you write, when you label it, write the negative in the right spot, so next to the x. So that would be about the y-axis. And all of these are going to be that same thing, but remember, we're practicing graphing, so you need to practice picking out your shift and how to graph each function. So this is a left 2 shift. 1, 2. It's an a value of positive 1, so it's going to be going up, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 3, following that pattern, 1a, 3a, 5a. That's good enough. So that would be g of x. Now I need the reflection across the y-axis. So on the y-axis stays, right? It's 0 away, basically. So this one's 1 left, so I go 1 right. This one's 2 left, so I go 2 right. And then it's a mirror image, but you could do 3 left, 3 right, 5 left, 5 right, or 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 4 left, 4 right. Oh, that didn't match. There we go. And that's g of negative x. And that is about the y-axis. Alright, next one. This is a right 4 shift. Remember, it's inside parentheses. Absolute values kind of act like parentheses. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2/3 slope, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. It's good enough. So that is h of x. Now we do the reflection. So this one's easy, 1 right, so 1 left. This one is 1 right 4, so I'm going to left 4. And this last one is right 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Left 7. Okay. And you should notice they actually all cross, but these two graphs are crossing at the point on the axis we are reflecting. So reflecting across the y-axis, they're crossing on the y-axis. Let's see, on this one we are reflecting across the x-axis. They're they're crossing on the x-axis. Okay, so notice that. So this one was a reflection about y-axis again. Last one is exponential. It is a down 4 shift. Be careful. Remember, for exponentials, the left-right is in the exponent. The up-down is outside the exponent. So remember, shift from 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the asymptote, from 0, shifted down 4. And then I have to plug in points. Don't forget, there's no shortcut here. So we go to this, and I'm going to plug in 1 and 2. Go to the key point, move 2 spots. What are the x values of those 2 spots? So I plug in 1, I get 3 to the first minus 4, so that's negative 1. Then I get 3 squared minus 4, so that's 5. Both of those do fit, so 1, negative 1. Remember, count from the origin. 2, 5. You can kind of see this one's going up a little faster. And there we go. Drawing my arrows. And that would be j of x. Now we reflect across the y-axis. So our asymptote actually stays the same. Right? If I flip this, it's still the same spot. This spot is on the y-axis, so that's still there. This one is right 1, so I'm going to go left 1. This one is right 2, so I go left 2. And then we flip it, reflect it across the y-axis, so it'll look like this, and that's j of negative x. And once again, that is a reflection about y-axis. Okay, so if you know how to graph the original ones, creating the reflections are easy. The problem is a lot of people have trouble graphing the original ones, so that makes graphing the new ones a little more difficult. Okay, the last thing is we're going to be working with those reflections and shifts and stuff with this, but we're going to look at domain and range over and over and over again once we have dealt with that. So our original function, what is the domain? So remember, domain is left to right. We always start on the left side, go to the right side. Range is down to up. Always start low, go high. So left, domains are x values. So I start at negative 5, and I go to positive 3, including both. So I'm using brackets. Range, I'm going down to negative 4, up to 0, including both. Okay. Then we got to think about what these things are going to do. So this is a right 3, up 4 shift. So I'm going to take each point, shift it right 3, up 4. Right 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here, so right 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I'm taking the key points, the points where it kind of changes. 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, that one is a 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm just going to make the same graph. Okay, now we look at what's the domain and range of this new function. So start left, negative 2, go to right, positive 6. And then I start low, which is 0, and it goes up to 4. Alright, so that's a shift. Now we get to a reflection. So this is about the x-axis. It's the first ones we dealt with, negative in front. Okay, so all of these points, I'm going to go about the x-axis. So this is 1, 2, 3 below, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 above. This one's on it, so that's going to stay the same. 2 below, so 2 above. This one is 4 below, so I'm going to go 4 above. And last one is 3 below, so I go 3 above. Okay, and then it should look like it flipped, so make sure you sketch it like it flipped. Okay, and then we just answer the domain and range. So this is going from negative 5 to 3. My range is going from 0 to 4. Okay, so notice when we shift, both domain and range changes. When we flip, only one of domain or range changes. In this case, since we're reflecting across the x values stay the same. So my domain stays the same, my range is what changes. We're going to skip this one. It's just another shift. You can practice it if you want. So the last one we're going to do is about the y-axis. We're going to reflect about the y-axis. So we look at our thing. So this is, remember, y-axis now. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right. Then I do 1, 2 left. 1, 2 right. That one stays because it's on. And then I go 1, 2 right, meaning I'm 1, 2 left. And last one is 1, 2, 3 right. So I'm going 1, 2, 3 left. And then once again, make sure you reflect it. Should be flipping slightly. Oh, that's going to be hard to, what does that look like? Looks like this. Like so. Okay. So only one of them should change. Hopefully you can figure out that it should be the x's that changed, because that's the ones we were changing. So we went from -3 to 5 on the x values. My y values are still going from -4 to 0. Okay, so when we reflect about the y-axis, the x's change, the y's stay the same. Okay. And so that's reflections. Make sure you do your 3-sentence summary answering your essential question.